Fa'idah number 16 from the book Ma'rakatun Nas by Shaykh Al-Ajlan. And here he talks about taqdeem al-maslaha ala nas, giving preference to benefit, maslaha, benefit, over the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. So we put aside the Quran and the Sunnah and we give preference to that which we feel is a benefit, a public benefit. So somebody comes along and states, well, riba should be allowed today. Why? Because there's great maslaha in it. It's a maslaha that he has imagined. Somebody comes along and states, well, alcohol consumption, this should be allowed because of maslaha, or preventing the trade in alcohol should be allowed because of maslaha, that there shouldn't be any hijab rules, regulations, laws because of maslaha. The same with regards to the niqab, the same with regards to the hudud penalties, the same with regards to polygyny. Guys should not be allowed to marry more than one wife because this goes against maslaha. Then he states that there should be equal inheritance between the sons and the daughters because this is what the maslaha dictates. There should not be any rules with regards to a mahram, etc. She does not require a mahram because the maslaha of today supposedly dictates that. Okay, so this is when they are giving preference to a maslaha that they have imagined over the Quran and the Sunnah. And unfortunately, they have found in the works of Imam Najmuddin al-Tufi al-Hanbali, who died in the year 716, in his explanation of the 40 ahadith, when he came to the hadith, La darar wa la dirar, then there's a statement that he had mentioned there, there's a discussion, and he did not give any example. And so some have taken that statement of his as proof, as evidence, as a bridge over the Quran and the Sunnah and giving preference to maslaha. So Imam Najmuddin al-Tufi, he had a discussion there. He was talking about when there might be like some sort of conflict between maslaha and the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. Well, if it's a clear-cut evidence, then obviously we give preference to the clear-cut evidence. If it's a case of ibadat and muqaddarat and that which there's like a fixed amount, then here, even if it clashes with supposed maslaha, we give preference to it. And then he's also talking about maslaha that the Sharia has accepted, not maslaha that you've just thought about, etc., that you've created for yourself. So Najmuddin al-Tufi, this was his discussion. And then he mentions, well, if we have like a type of maslaha and then the evidence is dhanni and it's not from what was already discussed, then we give preference to the maslaha. So here obviously the progressives and the modernists, they hold on to the statement here. They latch onto the statement like a desperate, drowning individual, just like clutching onto straws. Allahu musta'an, Allahu musta'an. And so they take the statement of Najmuddin al-Tufi and they run with it and they say, well, see, look, Imam Najmuddin al-Tufi has stated that maslaha is given preference to the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. Allahu musta'an. And unfortunately, Najmuddin al-Tufi did not give an example, so we are not 100% sure what did he really mean. We find that some scholars said, well, Najmuddin al-Tufi, yeah, it seems that this was a mistake on his part, and this is one of his errors. And they said, no, in reality, what he was talking about, like when we have an am and a khas, and so here we are talking about a maslaha which is already established by the Sharia, etc. So there's great debate with regards to what exactly he meant. But what we can agree upon is that the istighlal, the misuse, the manipulation of his statement to then make it as though it's a bridge over the Quran and the Sunnah, this is definitely not on. And also it's interesting that the progressives and the modernists, whenever they talk about any type of maslaha, it's only maslaha of the dunya. They never talk about maslaha in the hereafter. It's only the dunya, based upon their whims and their fancies. Allahu musta'an.